Idiotic people exist. Everywhere you turn, you will find someone who could be classified as an idiot. In all honesty, almost everybody has their moments where they feel like an idiot or they act like an idiot, so you can't blame them too much. But that also comes to the topic of this video, because today we are talking about the dumbest characters within JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Now, some of these characters, though we don't know much about them, I will say that they're dumb based on an action or a choice that they made or a choice that they continue to make throughout their life, or based off of intelligence, because some of them are just legitimately stupid. And that's why we got to start off with somebody like Narancha. Now, I love Narancha, and before all you Narancha and Part 5 defenders come full force rushing me in my comments, let me explain. I think Narancha is a great character. I enjoy Narancha on the screen all the time, but canonically, I forget what grade he dropped out at, but I think it was what? Elementary? Middle? I'm about to look it up as a matter of fact. He was 14 when he went to juvie. And even though it doesn't give us a specific date when he drops out, it just says they just started skipping after the age of 10 because his father was neglectful. But because of those actions, he is a little bit, dumb. Even though I feel a lot of sympathy, especially for his backstory, because even the way that he went to juvie, which one thing that is pretty canon with JoJo characters is usually whenever they go to a hospital or jail, they get beaten really bad. Like, that's what almost any character, unless you're Jolene fucking Cujo. But he's not like some complete idiot. He has a very strong and very high battle IQ, because in the fights that we do see him participate in, usually he's countering at a very high level. Like, when I first saw Aerosmith, when he gets that shrinking stand, I forget the stand's name, but when he gets that shrinking stand, I was like, man, he really knows how to work that fucking toy airplane. Now, if I'm being honest, if Narancha just lived maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 more years, he would have saw the birth of ChatGPT, and then he would never have to worry about math problems again, because he would have the answer pretty quickly. I could bet you like $5, maybe 10, Narancha would probably be one of those kids on ChatGPT at all assignments. Like every assignment. I strongly believe that. If we live in a different timeline, let's say Narancha's counterpart shows up in Part 9. He's 17. He need to be smart as shit. At least his grades need to look like that, just so we could see him chat GPT and everything. Like Narancha, he was more so just a kid, and he was just a kid with a different maturity level. Like someone like Giorno, he was someone who was probably mature from the age of, we saw him at the age of 5, and he was probably mature ever since that day he didn't sell out that mafia leader. But Narancha, some people, it takes a little bit longer for him to be mature. I'm sure if he would have gotten a few years past Part 5, we would have saw that. Up next, we got Dario Brando. Now, you may ask me, why would I call Dario Brando one of the dumbest people in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? And it's pretty simple. Why would you use your favor like that? Dario Brando just saved this rich person's life. You should be set for life, but no. After you save his life, you steal his wife's ring and try to pawn it, and they put you in jail. But he is so generous that he lets you out. He lets you go. And then after that, you ask for some money to own your own hotel. Great, that's a fantastic business. Only for you to be so slow that it ends you back in poverty and leads you to working your wife to death. But you have one last favor, and it's to get your son out of poverty, so he willingly accepts your son. See, I should do a dual segment right here for Dario and George Joestar, because George Joestar is still fucking pretty stupid, but at least he's kind, so he has something going for him. Dario, however, it's so idiotic how you can end up in poverty that much. And I also call it idiotic because he ended up just making his son worse than what he probably still would have. Either way, even if Dario was a good father, Dio probably still would have ended up poisoning and killing him. But at least if he was a good father, they wouldn't be in fucking poverty. Dio wouldn't feel inferior to everyone else, making him want to go to the Joestars and kill everyone in the fucking house. I just think it's kind of ridiculous how no one ever brings up how fucking slow he is. I've never seen someone so slow to the point where you try to pawn somebody's ring after you already tried to steal from them, and then after you try to pawn someone's ring, you ask him for more money, and you fuck up your own business before your son was born. Well, no. While your son was an infant. That makes it worse. And to end it off today, we have Peshi. Now, one thing I will say is that I actually do like Peshi a lot as a character, and I believe that he is trying his hardest, but a lot of times his hardest just wasn't good enough. But the difference between him and the other two is that, like, his cowardness is what makes him somewhat dumb. You know what I mean? Because it was definitely a fair amount of times within part 5 when we see him during the Grateful Dead fight. He's scared, you know, all the way until he realizes Bucciarati got his partner out of there quick, packed him up. But even when he was locked in, he still made dumb decisions. Like, why are you going to go into the turtle and try to strangle everyone in there? You don't think Sticky Fingers could go in there too? And I understand that was more desperation because I'm pretty sure by that point his neck was snapped. But still, you don't think Sticky Fingers is going in there too. I feel like his idiocracy was really only held to a certain part. And it's more so him being simple more than anything. You know what I mean? But his simple-mindedness and childlikeness is what could be, is what people could call to be dumb. Maybe I should channel this, you know, the weak-willed characters of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Nah. But I still feel like Pesci just made some dumb choices when it came to actual battle IQ against Bruno Bucciarati. Like, understandably, Bruno is coming from the sky, you don't know what to do. But the first thing I would have been doing, especially once I realized there was someone on the train, because after the Mista encounter, I would have been looking for something, because the rest of them had to be in something if they were hunting me down. I would have been checking under seats, I would have been doing all that, because ain't no fucking way. There's no way there's a turtle out there chilling and I'm not finna catch it. But that's really all I got for y'all. If y'all enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 5K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace.